Now, before I describe the curriculum for DevOps, I also want to stress out on what are the things helping the curriculum. Firstly, anything and everything that you're taught is followed by almost a simulation in a sandbox environment, which means when you study DSA, you have problems to solve where you write actual code. When you study about Linux, again, you have certain assignments to do where you actually have to write scripts. When you study about cloud, again, you have certain assignments to do, which translates to what you'd be doing at work as well. So everything is followed by real world assignments. You also have a TA while you are learning, so that if you at all get stuck while doing these assignments, you have a TA to help you. And you also have a live instructor. You also have access to a one-on-one mentor. Mentor is somebody who is already there in the field and has seen things or does things in their regular work, and hence you can learn from their guidance. All of that exists. Now, once that exists, now let me talk about the curriculum. The way the curriculum is structured is there is part one of the curriculum that enables you to become a DevOps engineer. Now, once you have learned all of those things, then there is part two of the curriculum, which is you study a little more and you become eligible, or at least you know everything that an SRE should know, site reliability engineer should know. And post that, there is some more content if you have enrolled for Neovarsity, which enables you to also learn whatever a software engineer should know. That is how the whole curriculum is structured. Now let me get into what a DevOps, what an SRE, and what a software engineer should know. Let's start with part one. Part one is, what should a DevOps engineer know? Now, a DevOps engineer firstly has to be able to write scripts. Now, you can write scripts in Python, you can write scripts in Golang, you can write scripts in Ruby. Typically, you will find all companies are either looking for DevOps engineer who can write scripts in Python or Golang, where actually Python is a deal breaker. Every single DevOps engineer has to be able to write scripts in Python. Even if you're not able to write scripts in Golang, companies are willing to let that pass. Hence, the module 1 for DevOps is where you learn Python scripting, how to write scripts in Python, which is you first learn how to code in Python, basic coding, and then how do you start using scripts to do minor things. For example, how do you go and scrape a web page? Or for example, if at all, at some point, you might have to write a Python script to do something on a remote machine, how would you do that? Or let's say if you have to write a Python script to parse a log file, then how do you do that? That is your module 1, which is Python scripting. This is then followed by DSA. Now, why is DSA there? Because all DevOps engineering jobs in top product companies, they expect that even DevOps engineers are good at DSA. And we would want that you're ready with skills that are required for top DevOps engineering job, not just, let's say, a basic DevOps engineering job. So hence, that is followed by 4 months of data structures and algorithms. This is where you learn the DSA that is important for a DevOps engineering job, which might not be as complex as software engineering, and hence is only 4 months, not, let's say, 5 months or 6 months, unlike software engineering. Then the third part is where you start learning about Linux internals. Now think of, for example, if there's an outage that has happened, you know that outage happened from 11 a.m. to, let's say, 11:05 a.m. Then what was happening inside the machine? What was the CPU usage? What was the memory usage? Was there a system process running that caused the outage? Or what were the logs like? What do the logs tell you in that duration? What was happening inside the machine? You have to be able to do that very effectively. And that requires, amongst other things, one of the things that is required is that you understand your Linux machine really well, which means you understand Linux scripting, but also, let's say, certain concepts of operating systems and computer networks, which helps you debug properly. For example, one of the reasons of outages could also be that maybe your network was capped. Maybe the connection to your network switch was broken. Maybe the network router was overloaded. how do you again troubleshoot all of these cases and you're able to narrow down where the problem was, requires you to first understand the internals well. And hence the interviews also focus a lot on that. Hence the third module is around Linux internals, operating systems, and computer network, which is all of your computer science fundamentals, especially in the context of DevOps. Then comes the fourth module, which is where you start learning about cloud. Here we specifically refer to AWS as the cloud of reference. Only reason being that when we look at the market, AWS has the maximum footprint as compared to any other cloud. Even within AWS, again, like you have to understand how to do basic setups, what are the components of AWS. So for example, if you have to set up an IAM for different kind of users in the company where not everybody has access to everything, then how do you do something like that? That's again a very basic example, but the example goes on from this to maybe how do you set up deployment processes? How do you set up CI/CD pipelines? How do you configure what machine is required for this particular service? Because every machine would cost you differently. So do you need a CPU heavy machine? Do you need a memory heavy machine? Do you provision machines for later, or do you keep using the machines as they go by? Maybe for a particular service, should you be using Lambda or should you be using EC2 machines? All of those are choices that you will be part of, and hence all of these are covered as part of the cloud module that we have. A DevOps engineer finally is also required to know of a lot of tools which are important for them. Most important tools being tools like Docker, Kubernetes, Ansible. Again, all of those are also covered as part of the curriculum to make sure you're hands-on on all of these tools. Not only do you understand how these tools work, but you're also able to implement on top of these tools. In fact, most companies today require their DevOps engineer to know about these tools, and hence these tools are also part of the interviewing process in a lot of companies. So that's your entire DevOps engineering curriculum. If you have done all of this, then you're ready for a DevOps engineering job. Now, there are a few more things that you can study and become really good at. Obviously, they're not trivial, but they help you become ready even for an SRE job, skill-wise. Those are namely one, system design, which is now that you know how the components work, what are the right design choices for building large-scale systems? What are the right design considerations for large-scale systems? And hence, when things go wrong, what are the potential long-term solutions for large-scale systems? That becomes part of system design. So system design. And then finally, for SREs, you would expect the DSA rounds to be slightly harder than a DevOps engineering round, right? So hence, an advanced DSA module, which teaches you more advanced concepts of DSA, which might not have been required for a DevOps role. They are covered as part of SRE. So the next two modules are system design and advanced DSA. If you complete those, then skill-wise, you're ready for SRE jobs as well. Post that, if you're enrolled in Neovarsity, which is the Scalar Masters program, which is you have completed all of these modules and then you do a couple more modules and you end up getting a master's. In those, you have option of choosing for modules which are around low-level design and specific advanced language concepts and projects. If you do those, which is low-level design plus a engineering project, then not only are you ready for DevOps jobs, not only are you ready for SRE jobs, but you also skill-wise have the optionality to switch to even a software engineering job. Especially, let's say, maybe in the company where you are already at, maybe you have switched to a company on an SRE role or a DevOps role, but long-term, you could also look at transitioning into developer jobs because skill-wise, you're already there. In fact, your project also says so. So if you look at the curriculum again, it enables you for DevOps jobs, enables you for SRE jobs, and if you study a little more, it also gives you the optionality to move into software engineering jobs. With assistance from mentors, TAs, live instructor, and real sandbox assignments. So that's the curriculum for Scalar.